is Ronak and you're watching VectoArt. In today's video, we'll create a forms application using the HandyControls UI framework in WPF. So without any further ado, let's get started. And also, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do subscribe and hit the bell icon. It means a lot. And that will also motivate me to make more videos in future. So let's get started by creating a new project. Next, let's select the WPF app.NET framework. You can go to the search and look for it. Click on next. I have recently created a project, so it is in the recent templates. Now next, let's give this project a name and set the location and then click on create. First, let's go to tools, NuGet package manager, and then we'll go to manage NuGet packages. Here in the browse window or the browse tab, we'll have to look for HandyControls. Okay, and don't go for the first one. You can also select the first one, but the second link has the controls included in the regular controls. But the best part about the first one is that you get a separate tab where these HandyControls are available. Okay, with this, with the second one, you get a README text file where you can, which will provide you the ways of implementing this. So that's why I'm going for the second one. So you can copy this code and simply go to your app.xaml file and paste it, and also copy the resource dictionary and then paste it between the application resources. That's it, guys. The package has been implemented in your application. Now let's go to the main window. You can see that the controls are present in the all controls. All the new controls are added here. So many controls. You can explore them one by one. And I will also provide the link for the documentation in the description. You can go check it out. Throughout this video, I will be taking code from that documentation, and using that I will be implementing the controls. So first, let's get rid of the window borders for starters. So select the window, then go to properties, and under appearances, click on the allow transparency and change the window startup to center screen. Now let's draw a rectangle on the left hand side of the form. Change the properties, change the fill to a blue color, and remove the black stroke. That's done. Now let's add an image box on top of the blue rectangle that we have. So let's search for an image. Before that, let's add a a grid on the white space that we have, on which we will be adding the first section of the form, that is the basic details. So that's why I'm renaming the grid to basic details. Now let's add an image on the main grid and not the subgrid. So let's add an image, browse for the image. So these are basically the navigation buttons or icons. So I'll make a copy of this image button and drag and drop it using the Alt control. So you can hold the Alt key and drag it using the mouse. Now let's add the second image. Now let's add a text block on the subgrid and not the main grid. So the second grid basic details that we have added, we will have to add a text block on top of it. Change the properties like font size and the font itself. Also change the forecolor of the font to blue. Let's zoom and change the details. So select the text block, go to properties and change the font. I'm selecting Open Sans and let's change the font weight. And forecolor to blue, the same blue that we added for the rectangle. Now that's done. Let's add a text box. So here we are not adding the regular text box that WPF provides, but we will be adding the HandyControls text box. The reason is that it has extended attributes like placeholder text, titles. It makes the job easier rather than creating your own custom control in WPF. So this package will help us. So I've added this text box, but this is a regular text box. We will change it to the basic the HandyControl text box. So let's go to the documentation first. You can simply copy and paste the code from the documentation, but or you can drag a HandyControl from the controls, but I'm just showing you how to do it to a regular control. So copy this text and paste it in the existing text box that we have. Next we'll copy the prefix for the text box and the info element. Now let's remove the default text and the alignment. And next I think we have not closed the quotation mark for the placeholder text, that's why we get errors. So let's close that. Done. Yeah, and you can see that the errors are gone. Let's go to the designer, but we are not seeing any placeholder text because we have not added it. So let's add the placeholder text like first name, and this will appear once you start this will disappear once you start typing on the text box. So let's make a copy of this text box and change the placeholder text to last name. Next we will make a copy again, and this time it will be the email address. Or email ID. And finally one more time let's make a copy of it, and this time it will be user ID. Now next we will have to add combo boxes, and again we'll have to go to the documentation for that, and we have to select the code for the combo box. So let's go to the documentation now and look for a combo box, and you have several examples of ways to represent a combo box in using HandyControls. So these are the examples. So you will see how it looks. So we want the fourth combo box from here. So let's copy the code for the fourth combo box. Okay, so 2 3, yeah, the fourth one. Yes, let's copy the code for that and paste it in our application. So let's paste it below the text box, and let's change the text to country, and also the placeholder, sorry, the title element text to country. uh, the code has a dynamic binding, but since I'm not using any binding here, so I'm getting rid of the binding and directly writing the text. The combo box is large in size, so we have to adjust the width and height. Okay, so let's make a copy of this twice for state and city. Yeah, and the last one for city. Also, we'll have to change the title text for the other two text box combo boxes. So let's change it here in the code behind. Let's change this to state and the other one to city. Done. Now we have to add elements inside the combo box. So here I am adding directly from the properties panel. I'm going to the items and adding list box items, but in real time you can add the data as an item source from database. Here I am hard coding the data by adding a list box item and filling it with the content. Okay, and finally the city. So let's add a list box item and go to the content of the list box item and fill it with the text. So that's done. Now let's make a copy of the text box again for phone number and reference code. Okay, let's change the placeholder text to phone number and the final one to reference code. So that's done. So we have our first grid, subgrid. Let's change the position of the subgrid and let's run the application once and see it in action. So you have this beautiful design and the text box look amazing. So let's stop the application. Let's make a copy of the subgrid that we created and paste it under the main grid, and this time this grid will be the experience details. So I have made the first subgrid hidden from the view, and now I am editing the second subgrid, which is the experience. So I have also renamed the grid to experience, and also now I am modifying the content within the grid. We have made a copy of the first grid, that is basic details, and now we are modifying the placeholder text and making use of the already existing form from basic details. Okay, so let's add the first placeholder as job profile, second will be the company. Maybe I think we'll get rid of the other text boxes and add a date time picker for from and to experience detail, and the final one will be the job description. So let's get rid of those other text boxes other than job profile and company, and now we'll go to the documentation again, and this time we'll look for the date time picker. So we have the date time picker here. Let's scroll down and we have this beautiful looking date time picker. The date time picker language may sometimes be in Japanese or Chinese, so you can change it from the code behind. I will show you that later. So I'm copying the code for the date time picker now. I will paste it below the text box in the second grid experience and get rid of the selected date time, and this selected date time we will set from the code behind. So now we have the date time. We cannot see it because it is occupying the whole space. So let's set a height and width for this, and then let's go to the XAML code, sorry, the documentation, and if you scroll down we have one more example for this same date time picker. So we'll copy that code because it has some properties. So let's copy this date time picker, paste it below our existing date time picker, and paste the properties from that date time picker. So let's copy the show clear button and the info title and the info placeholder. I think info title is enough. So let's add a title from, and also next we can add other properties like the date time format, so that we only see the year and the month and not the date, because the date is not that important in this. Okay, let's make a copy of this and this will serve as the to date time. Let's go to the XAML and change the title to 2. Okay, let's once run the application and see how it looks. I have made the first grid hidden so that it does not overlap with the second grid, since we are designing the second grid now. Now let's go to the XAML code and change the let's set the date time format for it. So let's copy the date time format from the first date time picker and paste it in the second. And now let's go to the code behind and add the code for setting the startup selected date. Let's paste it twice, and let's add a name for our two date time pickers. So let's add a name attribute. Let's name the first date time picker D1 and the second one as D2. And similarly, let's go to the code behind and then change the first one as D1 and second one as D2, and let's change the selected date time to datetime.none. Also copy this configuration and paste it in the code behind. We are getting an error because we are missing a reference. So let's add that handy tools reference and let's run the application. Before that, let's add a rich text box, so which will help us add the description, job description. So let's add a rich text box, and above the rich text box let's add a text block which will tell us or help us in showing the title, and here the title will be the description. So that's done. So let's run the application now, and I will show you the date time picker. Let's stop the application. Now we have to make both the grids visible, the basic detail grid and the experience grid, and we'll have to start by moving the experience grid out of the window scope, because we are going to animate this and we are going to move the positions during the storyboard, using the storyboard. So let's add a storyboard, and on the first keyframe let's add a keyframe for both basic details and experience. And now on the 0.5 second frame, let's move the basic details grid out of the scope and bring the experience details grid inside the scope or inside the window. So select the experience grid and move it inside the window. So we have our first animation on the 0th frame. We have the basic details inside and the experience detail outside, and the 0.5 frame we have the experience detail inside and basic details going outside. So let's close this storyboard and let's add one more storyboard, and this time it will be the opposite. So we will be moving the experience details out and basic details in. For that you will have to start from the point where you left in the first storyboard. So that means that we'll have to add a storyboard now. First I will explain it to you. Okay, so let's add a storyboard, which is the second storyboard, and let's, on the first keyframe we are not adding an empty keyframe. Now we are adding a keyframe by moving the basic details out. So this will be the start position for the basic details, and experience details, this will be the start position which is inside the window, or you can say which is inside the scope. So this will be the starting position for the second storyboard, and on the 0.5 keyframe or 0.5 second we will have to move the experience detail out first and then move the basic details in. So that's very simple. If you don't follow, you can slow the video and look what I am doing, follow the mouse clicks. So that's done. Also we'll have to add triggers for the arrow keys, arrow image buttons that we have. So for that you'll have to select the arrow button first, okay, and go to triggers, and we have a default to image, and on mouse down let's trigger the storyboard. Let's add one more trigger and select the second button, and on mouse down let's run the second storyboard. Save this and run the application, and that's it guys. It's very simple, and you'll see that we have this beautiful window, forms window, and when you click on the arrow or navigation buttons you have this different forms. Hope you all liked watching this video. If you do, please do subscribe to my channel, like, share, and do subscribe to my channel, and don't forget a bell icon. Thank you.